Hello, we are Group 8 with Haley Dershide,
Caitlin Capper,
and Patrick Florian.
Over the course of this semester, we've been working together as a group on our mini projects as well as the final project. Our first mini project actually sparked the conversation about gaming. We had a feminist brunch instead of a dinner, but our conversation about feminism and society kept coming back to video games. Many women in our conversation were avid players, and they kept mentioning how unequal and uninviting games tend to be in terms of how females are represented in them, as well as how they are treated by the gaming community. For our project, we wanted to address this issue of women in gaming. From our research, we found that women learn early in life that video games are for boys, while things like baking sets and dolls are for girls. This gender role stays with them for years. By the time that women decide to change this stereotype and actually develop an interest in gaming, they are met with disapproval and discouragement. Studies show that women need initial support in order to continue with their interest in gaming. The environment, however, tends to be hostile, so many women don't even try more than once. As a result of women not enjoying gaming, they don't pursue careers in IT or gaming. If more women entered these fields, however, there might not be as much negative imaging and stereotyping. It's a negative cycle that we wish to tackle during this project. That brings us to the problem. Current gaming style perpetuates negative gender stereotypes and limits women's involvement in gaming industry. Despite women comprising 45% of the gamer population as of 2013, there still isn't a market that actively involves women's opinions in the development. Even fewer women are actually involved in the development of games. They only comprise about 17% of all game developers. A lack of female representation in the development of games may be part of the reason that some women do not feel welcome in the gaming community. Sherry Grainer Ray, a prominent female game developer and advocate for women in gaming, did her own social experiment. She held a workshop at a gaming conference which brought in a group of about 25 women in the industry. But when she brought in 5 very popular games for these women to play, she realized they had never touched them, even though they actually worked in the industry. Ray had the women play these games, of which women declared World of Warcraft as their favorite and vowed to purchase and play it later. Ray realized it wasn't the gameplay only that was stopping these women from playing. Our group thinks it might be from the culture surrounding gaming as well as the stereotypes associated with it. So we wanted to take a look at our local gaming community. Our group wants to take a look at how our NC State community perceives women and gender in video games and raise awareness for some of the concerns that we addressed earlier. We want to ask people on campus and elsewhere to share their thoughts and opinions in regards to women in gaming. We also wanted to understand how people view females in video games, as well as the women who play them. We want to address the thoughts around these issues and promote change.
To implement our project, we first decided to get a good idea about how people perceived women in gaming thus far. We wanted to see if women and men who participated demonstrated any trends that mirrored what we thought were popular stereotypes in the gaming community. We developed an online survey with 10 questions to send out on Facebook and Tumblr to gather data. We asked about the participants' gender, the amount of gameplay they engaged in, as well as the types of games that they played, such as first-person shooters, sports, or role-playing. We went on to ask what games they associated with each gender, as well as how they perceive each gender within the video games. Two of our questions looked into the way the participants saw these video game characters in a variety of games, such as whether they were realistic, sexualized, strong, etc. We finally asked whether people felt that games were geared towards them, and if they even felt welcome in the gaming community. These questions seemed quite pertinent to the issues at hand. Through this survey, we found some interesting things. Although our sample size was relatively small, with only 113 participants, we feel the data shows strong trends that seem indicative of our culture. Firstly, with games like first-person shooters, women seem to play this genre a lot more than they associate themselves with it. Men did the opposite, by associating themselves with this genre more than they admitted to playing it. Women don't see women avatars in video games as realistic at all. The guys also saw women as unrealistic, but their responses were less negative. Men and women together perceive male characters as more realistic than female characters, but still unrealistic overall. Neither gender sees male characters as sexual, but female characters were seen as very sexual. Men are seen as stronger, more intelligent, more capable, and more important and more independent than their female counterparts in video games overall. The biggest thing we found was a small percentage of women who we polled who do feel welcome in the gaming community, only about 22%, whereas an overwhelming 65% of male gamers said they feel welcome in the community. Where 59% of males said they feel that the gaming community and industry appeals to them, only 14% of women said the same. From our survey, we really noticed how stereotypes about gender roles in gaming affected the perceived audience of certain genres to the point where the stereotypes were unrealistic. It is significant that there were so few women that feel they are welcome in the community. If they don't feel welcome, they won't even try to expand the games that they play, and may stop playing altogether. This corresponds with some of our earlier research, which stated that women need encouragement and support in order to continue to play video games.
The first thing that we did to raise awareness was create a Tumblr that has photos and social commentary on issues around women and gaming. We then created a website that has a conclusion of the data from our poll, interesting articles pertaining to the issue of women in gaming, and ways people can help. Both of those links can be found on this slide. We then took this website with the compilation of everything and put it back out to the people that we surveyed by putting the link up on Facebook again. We think that this was an effective way for people to become informed about the problem in a very concise way, because we have a lot of information in that one location on the site. If they spend just a little bit of time exploring around the site, which hopefully they will find our problem statement, related interviews, and our Tumblr page. The end goal is that people will have their interest sparked by the information laid out for them in that one place on the website, and then continue to do research on their own or actively try to improve the situation because of the things that they have learned on our site. On our website, we have some recommendations for what people can do to help with the issues around women in gaming. Some of the points we make there are definitely aimed towards game developers and not everyday gamers, but there are a few things that anyone can do. The first thing is to avoid stereotypes. Don't assume that the only men will be joining your Call of Duty lobby, because women like Call of Duty too. Next, don't assume that every woman is the same. Women have just as many varied interests as men do. This means you can't expect every woman to enjoy the same genre of games. Expect women to join in every genre of the gaming community. The final recommendation we have is probably one of the most important things people can do to encourage women to be part of the industry. Studies show that women need a supportive environment to get started gaming. If people were more focused on making beginners feel welcome and spent more time teaching them how to play the game instead of concentrating on their noobness, then women would be more likely to enjoy themselves and to continue gaming. In conclusion, the gaming industry and gaming community have a long way to go for gaming to appeal to the female audience in a broader sense than it does today. Women make up a large percentage of gamers, but they are still treated like an outstanding minority by both the industry and male video gamers. Bringing in women to gaming can also be beneficial for both the gaming industry and for gamers everywhere, since more consumers means more money to produce better games. Not only that, but a couple of studies show that introducing girls and women to games and aspects of gaming that are usually seen as masculine can help the women in other areas of their life, including creating interest in STEM fields, especially fields dealing with computers and engineering. Stereotypes for girls and women in gaming tend to be a result of stereotypes in other aspects of our culture, but they also tend to further perpetuate such prejudice. Demonstrating to both men and women what each gender thinks, while highlighting what certain studies have found, provides a framework for changing attitudes about gaming and women. Reaching out and showing how women deserve a place in all genres of gaming is a powerful step in the right direction.